start with the cliche answers. I'm Ishitva. Okay. So yeah, I'm working as a product manager with Rupeek FinTech, a BFSI sector. So prior to Rupeek, I was working with Truebill, which is a Bombay-based startup. It's into e-commerce for your cars primarily, in both the domains B2B and B2C. And prior to that, I was working with Tally. Initially, I had worked in Tally as a data scientist because I came from computer science background, but eventually I made a move to product management. We'll see how and all about it. Yes, so that's a nutshell brief about career. Personally, I live in Madhya Pradesh, Jabalpur, and presently staying at home, as most of us are. And yeah, I like music as a hobby. So
we will talk about, like, as a product manager, how do you find time about it? We will come to that. But paint us a picture of a day-to-day task of a product manager. What does a day in your life looks like?
Get it. I think it is, you can assume that in a generic sense, product manager is, that spring toy with a good degree of freedom up to 360 degrees, that it's stuck in one place and it revolves around the table. So in a nutshell, a product manager is someone who basically is required to work end to end, right from the inception of the product till its delivery and its success. So that is the general statement of what product managers could be. However, if you talk about their day-to-day lives, or if I come from my experience, since you're required to, align with the business in terms of goal which the business is trying to chase, your life generally revolves around metrics. You guys, or the product managers, are the metric movers, obviously with the help of all the team, including developers, designers, and so on. Hence, they, I would say, start their day with the team, which is called Scrum in a product management jargon. And these Scrums are mostly led by the product managers themselves, or with the support of Scrum Masters or engineering managers, depending on the volume of the organization they're working in. Let's say, for example, in Rupeek, we have an engineering manager who helps to lead the engineering team, but aligns on all the products or the projects which the product manager has, assigned. So that is how the day starts, with the basic updates on the progress of the project. Further, there are business sync-ups, such that first you've taken a pulse check of whom you have to work with, or the projects you're working on, and you have to then give an update to the business that this is the progress and so on. Later down the line, there are some mails you want to write to update people, and further you work with the design team to work on few of the design projects. Eventually,
yeah, please continue.
Yeah, net, I was just saying that eventually you will be completing your day with a couple of next action items, on couple of alignment tasks, on couple of data crunching, and so on. So that's how mostly a day looks.
In entirety, from your explanation, I can say that you are kind of the go-to person when it comes to product, whatever product that you are developing. So you need to know everything about it in and out. You are the point of contact to update all the teams around you so that everyone is on the picture. So it's a lot of mix of being a people's person and also a lot of working with data and development and engineers and developers.
Exactly. That's precisely what it takes. And you, as you rightly said, you are a go-to person for business to the tech, and for tech to business. So
how does in that scenario, as a product manager, this is also one of the questions that even like kind of came in my mind, is that as a product manager, you're developing a product. So it basically requires you to have an understanding of the tech that you are working in. But a lot of people who wants to become product manager may not belong to a tech background.
Correct.
So how do you, because you are a data scientist, you have already worked with data, you already understand about it. So I want to know that how that transition was for you as well, and how that transition will look like for a person belonging to a non-tech background.
A very interesting one, actually. So you know what? Most of the people in their early stage in career, especially now, have started following the trend of product management, right? So,
yes.
so how it generally happens, most of the people find it challenging to make a switch to product management. And one of the profound reasons is what you stated, right? Where people are not a techie from the background. But I would say I have both seen in my experience that product managers are the problem solvers, right? One of the most important things for them is to speak logic, break down the solution into logic, because I'm sure the developers are logical people, right? So just to give you a very brief example, if you can communicate the logic by a simple pseudo language, there used to be some term of pseudo code, right? So in a pseudo code language, if you can explain ki bhai agar aisa hoga, then this, else this, in a very fundamental language, they'll definitely go ahead and pick up the tech stack which your company is using, and will encode your logic in that stack. So you as a product.
Okay, one disclaimer: you need to speak English.
Definitely, I'll do that.
Not tech.
Okay. Yes. So,
because a lot of our mentees are, have the aspiration, want to understand, but may not be very familiar with the jargon. So yes.
Agree.
Yeah, please continue.
So yeah, basically the gist of having a non-technical background but an inspiration for product management is be a good problem solver, try and understand to speak logic, rest your development team or engineering managers would take care of.
Okay. But how about your experience in data science? Like, I just want to know, how did it help with your transition?
Definitely. For me, I would say, thankfully, I was working on Python as a programming language, which mostly is used in which is mostly used in data science, right? Most of you would know. So if you are working in Python, if you have hands-on experience on programming language, you could definitely be a good data analyst, which is an important ingredient for product management, right? Plus, if you are any which ways working on coding or industrial coding, you definitely could encode logics, right? I hope this is plain English.
Yes.
So for me, when I started working with product management team as a data scientist itself, I found, first of all, I started finding, areas of my interest as well, where you actually go and speak with market, you understand the problem. Obviously, for me, the expectation was more from data standpoint, but my interest was starting to lie with the product standpoint and solutioning standpoint. So it is there where I found interest for myself in management. Definitely, how I got into it is by helping the product management team as a business analyst or a data analyst, where you use your coding skills to write pieces. Either you could do it on Excel, right, with a fundamental or a rudimentary style, or you could use your programming skills of whatever level you have to just read big data or files and run logics for them. And eventually you'll start feeling that whatever the pipeline you're building for the product management team, for me it so happened, is something which I could leverage eventually to pitch my competencies as a product manager.
Okay, so to again kind of keep it in a very simple terms, you made a soft transition by actually helping your product management team inside your company and then showing your skill set and then transitioned into product management.
Exactly.
So yeah, this is also one area where I have this question, because a lot of there is no conventional education available for product management. Like we have for engineers and electronics and computer science and things like that. So at that point of time, how important having hands-on projects, having something to show off before successfully transitioning into product management. I want to understand that process, that what sort of preparation should a person do if he or she wants to go into product management, be it via course or what do you think? Is it a course important, or is it working with working in that team important? What are your thoughts?
I think, as you rightly said, while theoretically there's no formal education, but I still would say there are a couple of things what aspirants should do. What I myself did initially, while I myself was just thinking about product management, is to go ahead and take one of the best courses online and even understand what are the frameworks, what product managers do, what do they do, is that what aligns with what you would want to do? Because honestly, I'll tell you, many people get into product management, but many a times it turns out that it's not a cup of their tea. What I mean by this is, because there are things which might fancy you initially, but when you actually start doing it, you realize that anyway. So basically, before that, coming to the actual point of discussion here, is for aspirants, you should definitely understand what product management is through some theoretical courses. I could recommend few towards the end if you need. After that, you need to see, there is a very common term of whether you're a product guy. Product guy is an inbuilt feature where you can empathize even in your usual life, whether a design is good or not, be it WhatsApp, be it Instagram, anything, where a feature might, let's say in Shorts, when you when you've already read the news in InShort, they still send you notifications. Isn't that frustrating? So if this frustration, or if something which makes you feel that there is a scope of change, that's where an internal product manager bonds. And so yeah, that's the ingredient of aspirants. They should understand whether this is the work or the stream for themselves. If things click them, that's where they're on track. And eventually they could prepare product demonstrations while applying to the companies. As I said, an example, they very, very general term, they can just think or pick up a product, app, etc., which they feel is not where they feel they could work better on it. And they themselves should think they are the product owners and should propose a solution, and then probably prepare a PPT and put it along in their application. That's how company even could judge if they have the eye for a product manager, if they are good problem solvers.
That is actually a very nice suggestion of taking real life feedback as well from the person that you have approached, whether your thought process is in the right track or not. Now coming to that, if I want to know that what are the qualities as a product manager, the hard qualities and the soft qualities, both the skills that you should have, can you tell me about that?
Yes, I think both soft and hard skills are very important as a product manager. In fact, anything you do under the management umbrella requires soft skills. Primarily it requires your good soft skills to be in place. So even if you read most of the JDs, it very well covers that you should be very good in communication. You should be good in stating, you should be good in explaining your point, putting up your point. So as soft skills, primarily, these are the general ones where you should be good in your communication and all. Additionally, as a product manager, you are required to have a high emotional quotient. What I mean by emotional quotient is, fundamentally, there are people who have an inbuilt emotional high quotient where if they've been told something, they'll not be able to sleep until they have some solution to it, right? So even as a product manager, if within your day, you've got few problems highlighted by your customer base, depending on what your target group is, it should create a fuzz in your mind that I have to solve it. So that kind of high emotional quotient is required, which helps you to achieve another good quality of stakeholder management, which is a very standard jargon in product management field, where all your stakeholders are to be managed smoothly, such that even a techie is your stakeholder who has to work for you, and the business counterparts who you have to work for. So the smooth interaction and deliverable between business and the tech, and to manage it well and putting deliverables at the same time, keeping goal in mind, is what stakeholder management is. So these are the soft skills. However, we were partially touching base about the hard skills, where I think it is very important as a product manager to be good with the data. So you should know some querying languages such as SQL, right? Where you could yourself, you're not dependent on an analyst. For most of the companies in India, which are early stage startups, etc., you don't easily get analyst for yourself. So you yourself should be good at looking at the data, the metrics, whatever you've developed. You should daily be looking into the metrics, how much success, or if there is a dip, etc. So those data querying, data analytics qualities using SQL, Google Analytics, Data Studio, these are the few hard skills related tools are few hard skills. Additionally, if you could code, maybe Python, then or any other language, that will just help you. It's not a deal breaker. First of all, if most of you don't do coding, then don't think it as a deal breaker. It's just give you edge when it comes to getting effort estimates from the techies, because you yourself would know that this much piece of work should not take more than a day or two, and your developer on the other hand is saying it'll take a week, so you can negotiate the efforts.
Okay. So just to sum up our entire conversation: communication skills, understanding about your product, being customer centric while developing your product, and having some knowledge about what you're actually working upon. Because I have also come across these courses which are understanding machine learning for managers who basically supervise these. Pardon?
No, I'm nothing. I'm just acknowledging. Please go ahead.
Yeah, who just actually gives you enough knowledge as a manager to how to handle teams. These are the few things which can help you to bridge that particular area. But again, tech is not a deal breaker. That is very much important to note, because a lot of people who want to become product managers stop at that, I don't know tech.
No.
So that is a really, really good thing. You were also telling us that you will let us know some of the certifications that can be done. Can you just give us a quick run through of that?
Yeah, I think one of the few things, like when you have to start with the language, right? I personally had followed it and I suggested it. I think for Python, one of the very good courses from the University of Toronto is is basically learning the fundamentals of programming, and then it says Python. So if you'll search on Coursera, learning the fundamentals of programming, it's a free course, in fact, and if only you need a certificate are you required to pay. Otherwise, learning standpoint, it's a very good course. It gives you, through Python, it tells you the concepts of logic building and programming. So since I mentioned that it's good to have some programming knowledge, you could definitely check that course out. However, for product management specific, there's a Udemy course which states like, become a product manager, get a job. That's the name of the product. That's the name of the course. It is a paid course, however, but it's decent. It's not costly, but the length at which it covers the details of product management. So it's in fact the people who take this course are the people they themselves have been good product managers, SoundCloud product manager, who now formally takes a lot of courses on Udemy. So that is one of the other certifications you could do. Additionally, I would say that there are a few books which you definitely should start reading if you are aspiring for product management. These are Decode and Conquer.
Okay.
All right. So what Decode and Conquer enables you to understand the frameworks, or if in fact it puts up the questions, real-time questions asked in companies on how would you solve problems, right? So Decode and Conquer is a very good book one should refer to. If you have to develop your appetite of problem solving or appetite of a product manager, then you could start with Why is a book.
Yes, that is a really good book.
Yes, start with Why is one. Then your Hooked is another book where, habit building products, where in today's world, we all are habitual of our, let's say, Instagram and all. So that's what Hooked tells you about. Then I think one more book I would like to recommend, which my CEO in Tally had recommended, which is the name of the book is Grit.
Okay.
And it teaches you about perseverance, because it becomes tedious as a product manager owning so many things. That is where the fundamental concepts of the book Grit helps you to continue your journey. So these are a few of the references.
Managers are also called the CEO of their own product. So the sense of ownership and the responsibilities is basically you have created a mini company under you. So yeah, a lot of things are important. Your personal etiquettes and how you look towards your work is also some of the things that that anyone aspiring as a product manager should look into.
Correct.
Okay, now coming back to our original discussion, I want to understand, is there any difference when you work as a product manager for a B2B company as opposed to a B2C company? Because we also discussed about that as well.
Yes. I think, yes, it is. While I'll try to keep it like I'll not use the jargons as such, but I still would think I'll just try to throw some light on it. So definitely there is a fundamental difference between the working style of B2B versus B2C. You'll find that B2B companies at some point have they have better they're in a better situation when it comes to the model of work they follow, which is waterfall model. So in the waterfall model, you break down the project activity into linear sequential phase, where each phase depends on the deliverable of the previous one and corresponds to specialization of that particular task. Versus in B2C, you are quick win, quick fail model, where quickly you deliver something, you run ABs, and your product might succeed or might not succeed. So to state myself even clear, you as a B2B company, you are delivering something which will go and would be delivered as a sample product, which is as per the expectation of the other business who would consume it, right? Versus in B2C, since the plus to complete the earlier stated point, business as your customer has definitely a preset of expectation. It is a predictable delivery. Versus in B2C, you cannot always predict the customer behavior. So mostly you end up running AB, right? Okay. You try to see how your customer behaves to a particular feature. You have Hotjar videos. you see the heat maps, versus all these things are not as much required in B2B domain, where your target group of business, example Tally, as a SaaS product, already knows that my customer, which is a business, will be doing taxation. So it knows that the underlying assumption is all the concepts of tax are definitely known to my customer.
True.
But if you want to sell a Tally app to a random customer, you cannot assume that he would know tax concepts, right?
Yes, and that is the way, that is the reason why in the entire journey or in the roadmap itself, this needs to be inculcated your audience.
Correct.
Now talking about this, one of the most important aspect in product management is actually building a product roadmap. That's where you start, that's where you understand, that's where you gather the data and then implement or strategize. So can you share the process with us? Can we dive deep into that process?
Yes. I would say, taking any individual company in isolation, when it starts as a startup, it starts with only founders, co-founders. They have a vision in mind, which they try to work upon. As company grows, it's like driving a car in darkness, where as much light you are visible, as much as the road is visible, that much path you are covering. Initially, right? But after a time, when every company attains a stage, attains a market share, attains a number of users, attains a trend of new acquisition versus retention, there definitely comes a need for having a roadmap in the place. So in a company like fortunately having an experience of working with Truebill and Rupeek, as well as Tally, wherein Truebill, we were a lot budding company in terms of our roadmap, where we were experimenting, let's say, auction of cars or experimenting things. Let's not go into the details of a company, but experimenting, different things and progressing, and then seeing which vertical is helping out the company to grow is what the current roadmap would have looked like. Versus in Rupeek, when the company has attained a decent stage, we do things like AOP, which is annual operating plan. So imagine we have, so the company takes the entire 2-3 weeks of December to plan the annual roadmap for next year, think through the goal, set metrics, right? Then break down the annual plan into quarters, that what I have to achieve by, let's say, AMJ quarter, first quarter, second quarter, where the year is broken into 4 quarters. And each quarter is further divided into the tasks that I have to achieve, not the task people, not the tech force, absolutely keeping that aside. Roadmap is simply the goal, the metrics that are required to be changed, and what all other things required to be done in order to achieve that. That is how in a grown company, the roadmap looks like. And it is very important if you want to achieve the goal by the year which you've planned for.
So, okay. Awesome. To all our attendees, if you have any question that you would like to ask Ishitva, you can type in that question in our chat box and we will take it in some time. So yeah, if you have any questions, type it out as soon as possible. Okay, awesome. Now, even under the job role of product managers, we have different types of product manager. There is product marketing manager, there is product development manager. So can you shed some knowledge about the bifurcation of product managers?
Yes. Primarily, as you said, there are product marketing managers and product development managers. This is based on the type of work they do. Okay. So a product marketing manager role could be, okay, before we actually go into both of these roles, I'll just draw a simple scenario here. For a company or for any individual organization to sustain its progress, it needs to know the pulse of its customer. right? And accordingly build for it, right? So you need someone who actually, so marketing is generally it's a separate thing where you sell the product either digitally or offline. But there has to be a feedback mechanism or a loop where you should at the same time learn from your user, their challenges, and consume it and accordingly tweak your product accordingly, right? So that is where a role comes into the picture, where you need some expertise who could actually go and understand the challenges in the existing product, or if you're planning to make an expansion, a business expansion into a particular field, there should be an expertise which could carry out customer research, could understand whether there is even a scope to tap that market, right? Things like these, when these expertise areas are required, is where a product marketing manager comes into the picture. So, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible, but I'm just trying to understand how is it different from getting the insights from our market, because a feedback loop is, if you are working ideally, a feedback loop is already always present. If you know who to target, that's only because you have actually researched about them and gotten the knowledge. So
correct.
How does it really different from what you gain insights from marketing, and what is the need of having a product marketing manager?
Okay, the simple feedbacks which you get from the market, I'll try an explanation here. The simple feedbacks which you get from the market could be as simple as the user experience problems, but solutioning of it as to feedback could be as simple as circulating a form out there and people just giving you feedback. That is the user research part of it.
Yeah. I may not have put it rightly. I'm saying that all this information can be passed to a product manager who can then take a decision. So why is there a difference between product marketing and product development? Like, isn't that falls under a product manager's job role to understand the audience and build the product in that sense?
So a very valid point. And for most of the companies which are in the initial stage, same guy performs both the roles. But by the virtue of the task, if we break it down, the expertise area where you need to understand the problem and solution for it is where product marketing management comes. However, so for the people, I'm tying it back to the people who had doubt that they should know tech. It's not that. Even if you are a product manager in a big firm, you could very well be a product marketing manager, where you know where you should, as I said, right, the problem should click to you. When you actually go and sit with your customer and see how he's using your product, or maybe you get a feedback from some apps, results, whatever, feedback, you actually understand and say, oh, that's the problem. That is where your expertise as product marketing manager comes into the picture. However, taking it back with the tech team, making tech team to work upon it, development part of it, that is where a product development manager comes, or the expertise of product development management comes into the picture, where you can leverage your technical skills, where you can, so if you remember, you had put up a question of the hard skills, right? Two major hard skills, which are broken into two parts. And I told you that you should be good in querying, data analysis aspects of it, as well as you should be good in logic building through language. I think this is primarily also going into the ingredient of product marketing management and product development management.
Okay, that makes it very clear.
Same guy could do both the things, right? And two different guys in big organization could, or a set of guys could do PMM, a set of guys could do PDM.
Okay. So moving on, I want to understand, I want to know, as a product manager, how do you network, and what is the importance of network to go into product management as well?
very, very important aspect actually, which comes after you've attained a decent time as a product manager, right? This is something which I am nowadays working on. So what happens is generally when you grow as a product manager, so there's a learning curve always, right? So initially you understand jargons, you understand workflows, frameworks, eventually you get better at it. But after a time, it is important to understand how industry is working, how your counterparts in probably your competing company or in your sector. Let's say if you're working in a company called Zest versus if you're working in a company which is yet a lender like let's say Rupeek, it becomes important to understand the market trends which your other counterparts are working at. So when you network with them, let's say if you are on LinkedIn and you network with someone from your other company from within the same sector, you will find their posts and the new trends which they are working at, and that helps directing you towards the trends in the market and what you should take as a feedback. And you probably also should start thinking whether it suits to my requirement, because it's a race, boss. If you're not at par with the others, let alone being better, you will be left behind. And that is where networking comes into the picture to understand how the market overall is performing. Is one. Second, this majorly the aspect. So this is one of the major aspects. However, many a times networking also helps you. This is very, I will keep it under the rug, that many a times when you have to make a switch, as a lateral hire, it is networking which helps you. Be it with your alma mater, be it within the people of your own domain as product managers, or be it your aspirational domain from, let's say, tech to product management. Having networking always helps. And we have seen examples during the COVID, right? So these are the major two aspects of networking.
Okay, so as a fresher who wants to transition into product management, how should I build my network?
How should you build your network?
How did you build your network? Where did you search people from? Does having, yeah, that's a question.
Okay, it's kind of, I think most people would already comprehend to this answer I'm about to say is, as I was starting to say, right, in the beginning, that when you start product management as a field, you should understand where do you fit, what type of work you like. There are products which are hardware. You definitely wouldn't want to be a hardware product manager going to people and selling a hardware. So as simple as thinking about being a software product manager versus a hardware product manager, it also is important to understand which industry you want to work with. I'll tell you a very personal example. Dream 11 is a company which had openings last year when I was willing to switch my role. My HR for Dream 11 put up a first question to me: are you interested in sports? Sports industry was, let's say, I'm not. So I never went ahead in the process. So it is important for you to understand the industry. Does e-commerce click to you? If it is e-commerce which you like, or gaming which you like, there are different, it's a fintech, BFSI. Understand the domain which you like. It could be more than one. And then start targeting people who are masters in that domain. Following masters, even if it's not a connect, is very important, because LinkedIn allows you to follow people to see how, these people are role models. They put up a latest trend. That's how they work. That's how they live. Versus you should always have a mix of all kinds of connects. You should have people from early budding startups. You should look for startups in that domain. Net has everything for you, right? Or you can just check things like angel.co. most of you might be knowing, which targets the early budding startups. You can choose, it has now recently started filters, so you can actually filter out the sector you want to, take up the startups which are budding, just connect with those people, right? And understand, even I myself get requests, a casual chit chat where people just understand how a fintech works. Some people just connect to learn what does gold loan mean, right? How is it different from other loans, etc. So that is how you understand the market, you see where you should go. And as I was saying, mix of everything. So you should have mix from bigger companies, normal and early startups. And you should definitely try 10 people, at least 1 or 2 would agree to talk with you. It gives a lot of insights, believe me. So that's how you should start your networking, rather than just looking at a post of job and saying, hey, can you refer me to a particular role in your company? Which is a very frustrating thing for a person within the company.
Notes taken, notes taken. Now, some of our mentees have some questions for you. So one of our mentee named Sai Aparna has asked is that, do we need an MBA to join as a product manager? Or how does an MBA helps in product management?
Very good question, actually. Me, myself, till you won't believe, but for around 5-6 months after even joining my career, thought that product management MBA, management means MBA. It was my perception, despite having good networks from IIT, etc. But answer to it is no. Good that our industries have evolved and they've started realizing the fact that MBA is not a necessity to be a product manager. However, now I understand, working with people who have MBA backgrounds, what MBA helps you is to polish you. If you've taken an expertise in Analyst, so if you're lacking a particular competency of data, then MBA as a business analyst could help you work on that. And overall, it will polish you and prepare you to be good in stakeholder management, right? Clear with your communication, explicit with your solution, and crisp in your concepts, talking with people. So this is what MBA helps you with. But to start with, never think MBA is a blocker. I myself am not an MBA, right? So that's the answer. Hope this helps.
Yeah, it definitely helps. Sai Aparna, let us know whether the answers provided by Ishitva are something that you resonate with you as well or not. Okay. Yeah, she got her answer. She has another question, that you being a data analyst, do you ever see a non-tech, that is a commerce student, join as a data analyst? And what skills do we need to develop?
Yes, that's again a very good one. Actually, that is true. People from different backgrounds, as a commerce student also, data analyst is something which actually requires you to be good in data crunching, and you should have the ability of reading between the data. You know, P&L should click you. Profit and loss, I mean. Profit and loss should click you. The deviations should click you. The percentage deltas should click you. So when I mean to say click, it should. So if there is a metric, forgive me if I am using too much jargons, but I'll just try to further simplify it. That what background you come from does not necessarily decide if you'll be a good business analyst or a data analyst or not. What helps is inner quality, or your skill to be good with data, right? In a simple term. And I know why this question is coming, because in India, we mostly have a mindset that if I've done commerce, I am a non-techie, right? Or if I've done engineering, I cannot be a CA, for example. And that's how the fields are split also, right? Mm-hmm. But this, I think with this modern time, with it's very high time that we should leave behind these prejudice in our mind that we should be belonging to a particular field. Neither a techie nor a commerce student for an analyst nor a techie for a product management are the deal breakers, right?
Okay, okay. So I hope you got that answer as well. Awesome. Now, another mentee, Ashi, is asking, what do you actually study in product management? And how does product management connect with marketing?
How does product management connect with marketing? First of all, I appreciate these questions, right? They are really good ones, actually. So, you know what? There is a very strong synergy between product management and marketing. When I say this, what I mean by synergy here is no matter how good your product is, how best a deal you make within your product, if there's no good marketing, you'll not get the output of, or you'll not get the success of the efforts you put in the product. Other way around, no matter if you've done a very good marketing, but your product organically is not good, then it will not be a success. So both the things have to go hands on hands. A good product should also have a good marketing. There is a concept of ATL, which is a jargon, but since you put up a question, I'll tell you that a lot of companies do ATL, which is above the line marketing, which is done mostly to raise their bars after they get generally the fundings or after they make profit. They keep a segment of their profit for ATL where they take some time, they step back, they develop their product with the new trends and put the money of ATL into the marketing where they'll put the hoardings, where they will go online, digital marketing, Instagram, YouTube, AdWords, and they'll go out for newspaper depending on the target group they want to set. So that is where marketing helps. And digital marketing is very important for online products nowadays.
I think digital marketing has integrated itself with working of every teams. Everything is digital. But yeah, what do you actually study in product management?
Okay. Theoretically, there is no, actually, there is theory. So theoretically, there is, so you know what, if you say by define product management, so these things come with experience, right? You would agree. But when you actually work as a product manager, it becomes important to learn things like statistical significance, right? Where whatever the results you are proving, how much statistical significant they are. If they are not, for what duration should I run this experiment to gauge statistical significant data? To do that, what tools should I use? For example, Optimizely is one such tool which companies do use. So your learnings turn more into dedicated tasks in your day-to-day life. Right? You should know to use Google Tag Manager. You should know to create campaigns. You should know to use GA, which is Google Analytics tool, right? Further, you should know A/B tools, how you can experiment. A/B meaning, A/B is a jargon, but how could you know whether your product is performing well or not? So there should be a set of people for whom you haven't made change, and you should compare it with the people for whom you made the change in your product and see how the people are behaving for the change set of group. So that is A/B. So you learn these things as and when you work daily on them. So these are few of the, I've just taken few names. Don't get overwhelmed by the names of these tools. Eventually, when you will work in a particular field, you'll learn about these tools, right? So these are the theories, if you want to call it theory. It is actually a theory which you're learning, right? How to use a particular product or a particular statistical tool.
Okay. Now, and Angela here is asking, what skills should an electronics and communication engineering student develop by the end of their final year to get into product management? That's a very direct question. Like, what are the steps?
Yes, electronics student, right?
Electronics and communications.
Electronics and communication. Assuming that in their course structure, if it is actually a core circuit branch, they definitely could try. In India also the scope has started rising up, but as I said, product management is in every field. So for them, I would say they could definitely try hardware product management,
Okay.
where don't think hardware as a huge, some tangible product as a hardware, but hardware could be a simple adapter could have a hardware, right? So assuming that she has learned digital logic designing as a course in electronics, or circuits and diagrams and so on and so forth as the modules of electronics, definitely there's a need for you in the market where you at the same time having an edge of your electronics learning are required to learn the need of the market, right? The requirement of product building by actual electronic hardware developers. So you can, in a nutshell, scope wise, you can be a lubricant between hardware product and its developers, because you want to come in between as a manager, right? And to achieve it, in a nutshell, again, the same things, you target the people from that market, from that industry. Good that you know that's the industry you want to work at, and understand and talk with people, and then understand if there's a scope for it. Start with the associate product manager and then evolve.
Angela, I hope that this suffices your query. Now, the final question from our mentees, her name is Niladri. She asked that what skills does a computer science BTech final year student should have who is planning for MBA in future for product management? You'll be developing the entire skill the way you have planned, Niladri.
Actually, it's a good one. So you have kind of stretched, you've spoken about my, like it is where I am right now. I've been a computer science CS graduate, right? I worked for a while and I might wish to pursue masters. Obviously, I'm already a product manager, but pursue masters in product management dedicated field. So for you, I would say the target course in MBA for you is information management. You do not explicitly get product management as a field to choose. Information management, however, covers concepts like project management, engineering management, the digital marketing aspect of it, and it's a very, very good module within MBA. So that is, first of all, your North Star, right? Because that's what you want to work, that's what you want to pursue MBA on, right? However, being a CS graduate, you could very well start with the job you're getting as a CS graduate, because that will give you first initial idea about industrial level of working as a techie and as a logic builder. So far, you've worked on data structures. I am sure I cannot hear you back, but I know that you've been preparing your, you can probably comment it as yes or no, but you have been preparing competitive coding and data structure so far to get jobs, right? I would say all that effort, yes, you're a web developer. So that means you've done HTML, CSS, and all those aspects, right? Web development. So you can start web development. You can get a job as a web developer. Good part is that you will get the designs to develop. Once you get the design, try and think that whatever you got as a design from the designer, how good or beautiful is it in terms of solving the problem? Eventually work with the designer. Okay, Laravel as well. Okay. So you eventually then work with the designers and understand the user UX aspect of it, user experience. And through designer, being a web developer, through designer, go to the PM who has given the designer the job and talk to the PM, learn the product management skills. With time, within company, evolve and work closely with the product managers, and then try and demonstrate something within the company you're working at. Yeah, this could be done better in this way, and pitch the management that you as well could be a associate product manager within the company. Eventually, after a 2-3 years, go for MBA.
Okay, okay, that is quite a solid planning there. Awesome. Okay, so with this, we will be concluding our webinar. I would just want to, do you have any final advice for the people who are aspiring to be product managers? Because a lot of our attendees are college-going students who are in their first to final year, who are just stepping out right now to build their career. And these are the people who are interested in product management.
Yeah, what exactly do we want to understand? Like general advice?
In general advice, your final, your holy grail, that if you want to become a product manager, do this.
I think we've covered a lot
Everything.
of it already.
Yes.
It has actually been a comprehensive session, but as a generic advice, as a advice for, there's a concept of good and bad designs. If you go to a hotel, I am being a little philosophical here, or if you go to a hotel, if a guy comes and asks for you, give me the key, I'll take your car to the valet parking. It's okay, good experience. You'll go, you'll have a fine dine, someone will come, will put everything will be so smooth, and you will enjoy ambience, food, everything. Versus, even if there's a single thing which is not, if suppose the water which you've ordered is it's summers and you don't get cold water, that spoils your entire experience. Or if the serviceability is slow, it'll spoil your experience. So what I'm trying to say is, there's a concept which is a very famous in the industry, that good designs are not noticed, but bad designs are. It is important to also keep an eye for good designs and analyze how is it good in your day-to-day life. That starts kickstarting the product thinking within you. If you're in a usual life, I might be repeating this, but if you're using any particular product, your app, anything, a table, any product, a plate, a spoon, anything tangible, hard or a soft product, think that is it serving the best purpose? Like, is it in its best shape and form? Had it been better, what could have been a better solution for it, right? Things like those. So if you start thinking from that fundamental level about how to solve problem, is when you become a good problem solver, is when you actually go ahead and one day become a product manager. That's
very well put forward. Thank you so much, Ishitva. For all of you who are here, thank you so much for taking out time and attending this particular webinar. Thank you so much for joining us. And Ishitva, it was really amazing to have you on board. I feel that a lot of us has gotten a proper understanding into product management. So thank you for taking time out of your schedule. And any of you, if you want to connect with Ishitva, you can definitely find him on LinkedIn. You can also get in contact with Qfuss and have a proper mentorship session with him as well. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you, Ishitva.
Thank you so much. I enjoyed all of it. And I'm appreciating that I enjoyed the people who had joined. They had really good set of questions. It speaks volumes, right? When you get such questions, that the people who've joined are quality guys who are actually looking for the insight into product management. So enjoyed the session with you. Thanks for hosting. And thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, bye-bye. Have a great night. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.